Hi, I'm Commander Paul Smith. I'm the commanding officer of His Majesty's Canadian ship York. York is one of the 24 Naval Reserve Divisions across the country. We train, recruit, and deploy sailors for international operations, domestic operations, and it's an incredibly unique organization. So the highlights for me was 2014 when I took command of HMCS Kingston, was my first ship. I didn't know at the time, but I found out a few months later that in doing so, I became the first Black Canadian to command a Royal Canadian Navy ship. It was wonderful, it was humbling, and it was inspiring. What it did, however, was put a bit of a spotlight on my command that I welcomed because I enjoyed being in command of the ship. And over the 3 years of my two commands, I was fortunate to conduct operations in the Arctic, operations in the Caribbean, work with NATO in the Mediterranean, and lead the Canadian Navy's first deployment to the west coast of Africa in over 13 or 14 years, doing leadership training in Mozambique, leadership training in Ghana, and operational training pretty much all over the world. Yeah, leadership is all about team building. I think when we talk leadership in general, people are talking about different pillars of leadership, and those pillars are all based on building a team. The one mistake that I find that leaders make is confusing the responsibility of leadership with the position of authority. And they're two totally different things. You can be the most senior person there and not a very good leader if you think that your position just allows you to do a lot of things other than the responsibility of taking care of your crew, taking care of your team. And the pillars that we talk about, communications, empowerment, giving a clear vision, are all part of that team building. If you don't have a successful team behind you, you're not doing your job as a leader. I like to say when I was on board ship and I was working with the crews, that the crew never fails. We succeed, I fail. If something's gone wrong, unless that failure was due to inaction by somebody in the crew. But if everybody's doing their job and the mission doesn't work out, I have failed to prepare my team. And that's how sincerely I consider the responsibility of leadership. As a leader, always make a point of getting to know everybody in your team because you need to know how to treat them. To treat everybody the same, you truly have to treat everybody differently. What one person needs is not what somebody else needs. And if you don't know how that dynamic is going to play out, then you're lost in team building. And as I said, team building is what leadership is all about. Empowerment is a cornerstone of leadership. You need to be able to empower your team. People define empowerment differently. For me, it's giving people the tools to do the job, an understanding of what that job is, but also giving them the space. You can't be somebody who's leaning over the shoulder. You can't be somebody who's micromanaging and asking all the time. You want to give your team the ability to be able to grow and understand and feel as though you're part of the team. Clear and decisive direction is paramount in team building. I've already spoken about empowerment, letting the team know that you all have a voice. And I try to build an inclusive culture. I've always tried to build an inclusive culture. Failure and success are all measurements. It's how you choose to measure it. Failure is inevitable. For me, my first few failures as a senior officer was when I was conducting the commanding officers board. And each one of those failures enabled me to take a look at my leadership style, my leadership ability, and understand that unless I show my authentic self to the board or what I'm actually going to do, I will continue to fail. And I think that's a big part of leadership and a big part of success. Your team needs to be authentic. You need to be authentic and consistent as a leader, or you will fail. In our world, failure is acceptable if it's minimized, unless it's through inaction. Failure through inaction cannot be allowed. My hope is that people get a better understanding of authentic leadership. I know it's easy to fall into what I call the leadership trap, and where your leadership style is based on the last leader or what you think people should be acting like. You got to get comfortable with yourself as a leader to really be able to successfully build that team. So there was a cultural shift that had to happen as I was coming up as well. And so from a diversity standpoint, I want everybody to understand that your voice matters and that you need to speak up. And if you're a leader, don't stop leading just because you don't fit the mold.